Greetings, it's Vanessa-Mary, your favorite holistic wellbeing coach, coming back with another chat. So I am live streaming and it's an exciting conversation. It's related to the up and coming Seeds of Unlimited Success. We have 2 days to go. We will be in Nottingham. So that's this Saturday, the 17th of May. It is a festival of collaboration. And the guest that I'm going to bring on now, not only is he playing a part in this year's event, he was there last year. He is actually the partner of a woman that I've been collaborating with and coached by for a number of years. So we've got so many different connections. I'm going to bring him onto the stage now so he can introduce himself properly. Geoff Smith, welcome to my podcast series. How are you?
Good morning, Vanessa. How you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you so much for being. Yeah, and thank you so much for being here. And, you know, as I've given the introduction, Festival of Collaboration. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. But before we go any further, let's just tell the audience who you are, where you are live streaming from today, because I know you can be all over the place. I can't keep up with you. But, you know, I know you through networking. So did you want to give us an introduction and tell us a bit more about yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, involved in various different industries around the world. My background is originally in security and financial services, and that went on and expanded into things like commodity trading. And in more recent times, I've now got interests in AI technology. I've got interests in consulting companies, management consulting, and also in debt recovery. So helping businesses recover money that they're owed from other companies that haven't paid them on time. So helping to try and keep their businesses afloat. And most recently, in arguably one of the most effective collaborations that I've done recently is I now have a building maintenance company with Caroline, which is thriving, probably mostly because she's running more of it than me. So it's going really well. So that's my sort of background in a potted bio of work that I've actually done. So yeah, you know, very, very much involved collaboratively on some of businesses now, and brought in partners to work with me on it, and it's all going really well.
Wow, what an introduction. So I've written down the word serial entrepreneur, and I know that's how I've described you in the program. So you'll be pleased to know the program. In fact, I've had an email this morning from the printer, I think is trying to tell me the program's ready to be collected.
Oh, fantastic.
But, you know, with somebody with your breadth of experience, serial entrepreneur, I did put dad, author. So let's hold up the book, author.
Yeah.
But then to describe your experience and your knowledge and your wisdom, what you bring to the table in business, it was serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would go with that. I think it's, you know, other people around me would describe it as shiny object syndrome. It's like I see something I want to do, and then I decide, oh, that looks nice and shiny. I'll go and have a go at that.
But you have used the word partnerships, though. So you're obviously working with the right leaders who can obviously, run the day-to-day aspects of these businesses for you?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, I realised quite early on what my weaknesses are and what my strengths are. So I know what I'm very good at, and I know the areas that I fall down on. So I've always been very conscious, certainly in my more recent business exploits, of making sure that I always focus on the who is going to solve my problem, not the how I'm going to solve it. So I make sure that I've got people around me that basically plug the gaps in my knowledge and my skill set. So I don't want loads of people around me who just do everything I tell them. I like people who are forward thinking, who will challenge and actually will sometimes also push back and go, actually, I think your idea is rubbish and we should change it. And that's the way that you build great teams. And if you're building great businesses and great companies, you have to have that balance around it. You can't just think you can do everything, because you can't. It's as easy.
No. And that's why it's a festival of collaboration on Saturday, because in the room, everyone will have an opportunity to connect with somebody who may be their next collaborative opportunity or lead them to the, the people that they need to meet. I picked up the book before and there was something that caught my eye and I was like, yeah, I want to talk about it. And I can't find it now. so much in this book. Actually, it might have been Think Fast. I think it was the diamond tip, Think Fast, caught my eye. I'm going to write it down because I've got just something that I wanted to say. But then I noticed towards the end, the art of collaboration, communication, which is important as well, because this year's theme of the event is nurturing your pathway. Okay. And communication is a central theme that's running for this year's event. So it's interesting that, you've picked that up in your book as well. We need to be able to communicate with each other. And particularly with what you've described there, if you're working with different teams, then communication is going to be essential for what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, communication within the business environment is essential anyway. And it's very easy when you're running your own company and you're running your own business. You have effectively got the loneliest chair in the building because, all of the stress, everything sits with you. When you're pacing the floor at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, wondering where you're going to find the money to meet payroll tomorrow, and those sorts of challenges, they don't come along for everybody. And if you can't communicate and you haven't got people around you that you can actually voice stuff with, it's very easy to become really insular. And then you actually start making bad decisions because your decisions become reactive rather than proactive because you haven't actually taken steps. You haven't voiced it. So now you're doing the best you can with bad situations. And whereas if you're actually working with people and you can chat and you can actually be vocal about the problems that you're experiencing, and almost is as the leader of any business, you think you're supposed to have all of the answers. And I think the quicker that you can acknowledge that actually it's okay not to have an answer, it's just good to know where to go and find it, the better it will be. So if you're then communicating effectively, that's going to lead to greater success than if you sort of shut down when things get difficult and you don't talk, because that's the quick way to see your business disappear under the surface of the water.
Wow, gosh, you've given us so much there. I mean, I've just literally written down, surround yourself with people who know more than you. So for myself, I do want to be seen as, let's just say, the student, okay? Because it's like, I want to be able to get the knowledge, add to what I know. But as you said, if somebody's got the skill set that you're weak in, then why are you stressing yourself? Just literally make sure you're plugging in. So that is so beautiful. So
I do think, sorry, Vanessa, I do think you find yourself sort of in a room and you're sitting there, the answer is always in the room. And that's the great thing about networking, the people that you meet, the people that they've got contacts around them. Someone within that room will have the answer to your question. And it might not always be the obvious person, but they may know someone who can help you out. And I always sort of work on the premise of the fact that if I walk into a room, if I feel that I am the most intelligent, all-seeing, all-knowing sage in the room, I'm probably in the wrong room. So to make sure that you're open and out there and talking to people, because the answer is always in the room, and that's the beautiful thing about networking, as you know. So if you those collaborations and those friendships that you make, those are the things that can really make or break a business moving forward. So it's all about that.
Yeah, I mean, you've just reminded me of a Jim Rohn quote. Jim Rohn's one of my favorite mentors, who sadly I never got to be in a room with him. So I've just learned from him through his books and his audio series. But he talks about the fact that you need to go somewhere where you are, surround yourself with people who are going to stretch you and grow you. Because if you're not getting that sense of, wow, I didn't even know that existed. Oh my gosh. And getting that excitement because you know that the ones that you are with are taking you to that next level, then really, like you said, you're in the wrong room. So I love that. So I'm just going to touch on networking because, like I said, you and I met each other. It was actually online when you were giving the insights, because, you know, as well as being an author, then you give the keynote talks as well.
Sure.
And I can remember sitting on the call thinking, I don't know who he is or what, you know, but it was like, wow, what a story. You know, did you just want to share a little bit of your story, what you were, you know, the background and what you, because I think you were just promoting your book at that stage.
That's right. Yeah. Well, so my entrepreneurial journey has been somewhat of a roller coaster, because I do like to sort of jump in and accept challenges where perhaps other people might go, oh, that's a little bit too risky for me. So without going into great detail, because we could be here for
just give us the summary.
The background and the stuff certainly that went into putting together the business book relates to my time back in the security industry many years ago, working in the club scene of London, as it says on there, and doing sort of things like international bodyguarding and that sort of stuff. And I became involved in a world that seemed very, very attractive at the time. And I got the opportunity to set up a company that was involved in the international import and export of diamonds. And the long and the short of that story is that I learned a lot of lessons in there, because I ended up on the wrong end of a very sticky situation that involved losing a lot of other people's money on the end of what we would describe now probably as a bit of a long con that was being operated in another country. And we were able to execute a number of trades very successfully while we were being groomed for the one where they were going to take all our money. And unfortunately, being young, very cocky, and, you know, suffering from shiny object syndrome at the time, I continued down a path that ultimately ended up costing everything. And obviously I talk about that in the book, and then I talk about the lessons that can be taken from that and how that's translated into modern business life, and has made me sort of I would say quite a well-known expert on managing risk within businesses. So.
Wow, incredible. So, you know, what I was thinking about is that thing, you know, the chapter that caught my eye again this morning, think fast. Because I must say, Geoff, I found myself having to think fast yesterday. But when, I'm not going to reveal my technique, my personal technique, but it was like, oh my gosh, this answer is here. It's like literally so obvious.
Yeah.
What I love about your story is it reminds me of my uncle. So, you know that I've been grieving for my uncle. He was in securities, not as high level as what you were doing, but I'm thinking about body language and how body language is still part of the communication cycle. And when and when you're a bodyguard, you are using your higher intuition for looking at people's body language, really thinking ahead what's going to happen next before it happens. I don't know if you wanted to come in on that based on your experience.
Well, again, it comes down to risk management. It's a different type of risk management. It's not looking at the paper side of a business, but when you're in a crowd type environment, you are trying to read the room. That's where you're developing the techniques of who is going to cause a problem. Are there any areas of threat in here? What's the quickest way out of this situation if the problem arises? And you are continually assessing and moving forward all of the time. And those are, again, skills that I talk about in the sort of the Think Fast chapter of the book, about keeping your eyes on the horizon of what's happening around you, of making sure you know what's going on in your industry, which is effectively read the room. Make sure that what you're doing is in keeping with what's going on around you. Because that's where your threats come from and your challenges as a business owner.
Wow, you're saying some key words here, threats. So, you know, the thing is, what I'm finding out, as you kind of put yourself forward in business as well, that you do need to be more in tune with potential risks. Okay. So I've had experience of risk management within a corporate setting, but I feel that within an entrepreneurial setting, managing those risks are still there, but they can come from different places as well.
Correct,
So interesting that you've mentioned this. So we're going to see you back in the room in 2 days' time.
Yeah, 2 days' time. Yeah, very much looking forward to it.
So we're nearly there. So you were with us last year as a delegate. I know that Caroline, your partner, who, like I said, I've met you through Caroline.
Yeah.
And Caroline was keynote speaker. She did a fantastic session at the beginning of the day. She's doing another session for us on Saturday. And at the end, you was like, "Oh, Vanessa, I really enjoyed that," because I was a bit nervous about you, I must say.
Tricky customer.
I was like, I don't know what his vibe is. I don't know, because maybe it's the security thing. Like, you didn't really give that much away, in your body language. So to get the compliment at the end of the day, like how you enjoyed it and how you wanted to be a part of it, I was like so touched. But do you just want to share like your thoughts from last year, please?
Yeah, the event was great. I mean, it was really quite a surprising one for me, to be honest, because it was sort of a last minute. I'd made the decision to come to it. I know obviously you guys have been planning it for months, and it showed, because it was a really great environment to be in. And obviously coming to the event and meeting the people that you had there, and obviously the involvement of your family and stuff, which was really great. And I just thought it brought a really different vibe to the event. It was very much like a coming together of a big family. And the nice sort of sit down when everyone was all eating together and got the chance to chat and everything else, I thought was great. And I thought as a concept was really good. And obviously I wanted to make sure that I conveyed that to you while I was there. And then obviously the opportunity to get involved with that again. And obviously knowing that Caroline is going to be, back in your events and certainly stepping in to help wherever you can. It just seemed a bit of a no-brainer to say, well, listen, if I can do something with you, or if we can support or help collaborate, again, back to our collaborations, let's see what we can do. So I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, if it's anything like the last event, I'm sure it will be a smash hit.
Oh, thank you. So, one thing that has definitely you're going to notice when you start speaking to people is where people are traveling from, Geoff.
Yeah.
So we have people coming from as far away as Bath, Bristol, Portsmouth, Norfolk, Birmingham, London. So, I'm so impressed by that. I know you and Caroline will be traveling up the country as well to be with us. I've written down the word here, power couple. And that is for you.
That sounds good.
Because that is for you and Caroline. So obviously, I've got a very good connection with Caroline. She's a very strong woman. She is a fantastic woman who encourages other women. So for myself, I knew that I was confident, but there was just certain things that just needed tidying up. I was working with Caroline, just improving my message, getting things, getting clarity really about how I was showing up online and in front of people. So when you've come together, I know one of the projects that you work on together is the podcast that you're doing. And I was like, oh, this will be interesting. Find out what they're doing. And then now, you've got the business that you're talking about with the property. So did you want to tell us a bit more about that? And sure. I love this energy of you working together.
Yeah, well, as you know, Vanessa, Caroline's a force of nature anyway. So when she walks into a room, people tend to sit up and listen anyway. And she's very good at bringing people together and bringing out the best of them. I mean, there are not too many people that I go to for advice. I have a handful of people that I've known for a very long time whose opinions I know and trust, and Caroline is one of them. If I want to ask or bounce an idea, she will be one of my go-to people. So actually, when we were looking at structuring a business for us to be involved with together, for me, it was just kind of a no-brainer, because she's so good at what she does and how she can set up systems and put stuff together, as you know, where she coaches other clients in how to do that. again, coming back to my, who I can get involved and not how I can do it. Obviously, to sit down with Caroline and go, right, this is what we want to do and this is how we want to do it, and I'd love to have you involved in it, and how can you support? She took it to the next level. She didn't just come in and go, oh, okay, let me work in it. She came in and said, okay, let me see how I can take this to the stratosphere, and has had a damn good go at it and is continuing with that. So it's a good team in so much as, I'm quite strategic, so I can pick out the key points of where we want to be going and how I would like us to get there. And then I know, again, I'm very good at looking at the big picture and the overall target, and I'm sometimes not always great on the little steps in between. Whereas I can then come back to Caroline and go, right, I would like us to go over here. How do we get there? And then she gives me, 30 minutes of wisdom and makes it happen. So it works really well.
Well, she's with us, because I noticed we had some comments and Caroline, oh, thanks. And then here's a magpie. So I love that one. But the thing is, when I spoke to Caroline, not this on our podcast chat we've had this year, last year, I was asking her about coaching and who's her coach. And she said, Geoff. She said,
well, there we go.
Geoff's my coach. So I thought that was cute.
But it just works really well. It's just a good dynamic. And again, we've got lots of different industry experience in lots of different areas that actually complement each other, and we never really worked in the same industries. So we've got a great deal of overlap in a lot of different areas, and we pick up on each other's weakness areas where we can bring the strength to those. So again, coming back to that effective collaborating and having someone there who's got your back, that's what you need to do, and it just works really well for us. And at the moment, that's going from strength to strength. So we're really happy with how that. Did you have one jump out of the pack, Vanessa?
No, I didn't. And to be fair, I'm not going to take that one. Because I have got the cards ready. But here we go. Here's a nice one. When I was thinking about asking you if I could do the oracle cards, I did get a vibration to say, give him an archangel card as well. So we are going to do the moon cards, but the card that came out here was peace. The lighting is not very good, but it's Archangel Shamuel. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. So I feel that that's a message for you and Caroline.
Yeah, definitely.
Couple,
without a doubt.
Your love is real, and working together, you are actually bringing out the best in each other, and that is only going to be beneficial for everybody else that you come into contact with. So I absolutely love that.
Fabulous.
So let's talk a little bit about Saturday. You are the facilitator for the leadership panel. So the leadership panel is a new element that I'm adding in for this year, and it means that we're getting to hear from people like yourself who've been there and done it before. Because even in we've been speaking for 20 minutes, I will be listening back definitely to the first things that you said. And can I just say that I miss those little snippets that you were doing on LinkedIn, your little videos. I personally miss them.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll look at resurrecting them, but obviously I'm not on certain of those platforms now because of other businesses that I'm involved with. So I've had to cut back on them. But I had quite a few people.
Just as a voice, I can do it on Spotify or something like that.
Yeah, I can certainly have a look into it, because I've had a few people mention that they used to get quite a bit out of those sort of little daily quotes and snippet type stuff, and also as well as just an opportunity to inject a bit of humor into some days where we just wanted to come in and record something a bit bonkers just to get people through the day. So certainly I think it's something that we could look at, but I'll have to speak to my business coach about it and see what she says.
Yeah, definitely. But the thing is, we're talking about leadership, we're talking about lessons. So obviously you were leaving lessons, and you've left lessons in your book, and that for me is how we share the legacy. Having a book, you're an author, it means that you've actually put your stamp and you've made your mark. You've left something for people to pick up. The panel themselves, they will be doing the same thing. So I've said that, the little catchphrase I'm using a lot is success leaves clues. Okay, success leaves clues.
Definitely.
So it's one of those things where when you've got people in front of you, and this is what I'm trying to get across to those, particularly in Nottingham, who have not yet got your ticket, having people travel so far to come and share some knowledge with you, it shouldn't be taken for granted, you know, because having powerful people in one place, you know, as you know, it's something that I've been working on for a long time. These things don't just happen overnight.
Absolutely.
But for the panel itself, Geoff, we have a range of industries being represented. So for you, serial entrepreneur, we've got Larry, who is, she's a solicitor by profession, and then she runs the Silver Tree Network. Then we have Linda Booth, who is in natural healthcare. Steve Bennett, who you know, who has he's got a background in recruitment, and also he's doing the business coaching. We've got Yasmin, who is into property and also travel. And who have I forgotten? Oh, Dr. Pretty. How could I forget her? Covering healthcare. So she is an optician who also runs a beauty clinic as well. So very, very interesting characters on the panel there. So I'll be looking forward
it'd be exciting to hear their views on and seeing some of the questions and the responses and seeing how those things can help the audience. I think will be really good. It'll be a worthwhile session. So I'm quite looking forward to being involved in hosting and running that.
Yeah, because I've put in the community portal, I'm asking people for questions in the community portal. So I'm going to obviously tell you which question, because we won't be able to take all of them. But, you know, we'll select some of the questions, and then obviously the ones that come forward on the day, we'll take those from the room as well. So it's all about business, but also what I also like to talk about is people's approach to a healthy lifestyle. Oh, do you know what? That's why that card popped out. Okay, so Archangel Raphael did pop out, and I said, no, I'm not taking that card, because this card is eat a healthful diet, get adequate sleep, and exercise regularly for optimal health. So because I am covering well-being myself, the event is actually about health, wealth, and relationships. So we talked a little bit about the wealth and the relationship side with yourself. Tell me about your healthy lifestyle. Archangel Raphael's like, no, I want to know, what's his healthy lifestyle? What does he do?
I'm going to say there's several empty wine bottles on the side that said last night. We might have got that wrong. but I think with all of these things, it's just about balance. I mean, you know, for us, you know, we're on the road a lot. We travel around a lot. We do our best to try and make sure that, you know, we're eating in and eating together. So actually not just about, you know, the stuff that you're actually consuming, but actually spending the time to sit down and eat together, and have that time where we don't have phones and stuff around us. We are actually communicating and strengthening our bond together in those times. And because it's all about, as you said, finding that sort of the system that works and creating that balance so that you can approach business feeling fresh, you know, feeling strong and supported, and having that within your relationship as well, because it's really important. If you can do all of those things, you're onto a winning formula. That doesn't mean that you need to go and run a marathon every day, but if you can get out, have a walk, or, you know, as we go out, you know, take the dog for a walk, whatever, try and be active and give yourself a break away so that you're not all consumed with business all of the time, and also taking that time so you actually get some time with your partner to strengthen that relationship. I mean, one of the things we were actually talking about today is because we have been so busy that we've actually neglected a little bit of our time together doing nothing. So actually we've now scheduled the rest of the day that we're now going out for the day, so that we're not going to be working today, because we're going to make sure that we strengthen our bond together again, which is something I think is just really important to inject that work-life balance.
That's fantastic. Caroline, if you're still watching, can you tell me if everything's coming through okay? Because I've just pressed something and I think I froze a little bit, but I'm still here.
I can still see you.
I'm just a bit paranoid. No, I love that, because actually sometimes we feel that the healthy lifestyle is about the exercise and, but you just said mindfulness. She said, I can see you. Thank you, darling. Mindfulness is very important, and mindful eating. Not enough of mindful eating. I did my own shuffle of the deck last night, and that card came through. That's why I was like, oh, is that for me? I was a bit confused with the message. And I'm aware that the second part of that adequate sleep is something that I need to focus on. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes that's very difficult to do when you've got a busy brain.
Exactly. You're putting in the hours. So scheduling the sleep for me is something that I am definitely going to be putting my eye on as from next week, and getting back into a healthier routine with my sleep. But Caroline says she's looking forward to some us time today. So it sounds like you have both been really busy. I know Caroline has opened some other networking groups in new areas, and the dedication that comes behind putting networking groups together, also turning up, making sure that people are making those connections, getting value, getting excited about being part of a group, coming back together. It takes a lot of energy, because as
massively,
you know,
just coordinating it and getting it to run properly. And as you said, getting people in the same place and all pointing in the same direction sometimes is quite difficult. That's an art form in itself.
Exactly.
And one of the things that we talk about in business risk is the people that are involved in it, and making sure that you've got people who are in there who are sharing the same cohesive message that you want shared. And in a business network where you've got large numbers of people over a large geographic region, that's actually quite tricky. It's not as easy as you think.
Not as easy as you think at all. So, Caroline's doing such a great job with the 4N community. I've been a member of the 4N community for 4 years now, hosting 2 of the groups in Nottingham, which is fantastic, and also supporting the other groups locally in the East Midlands, meeting new people. It's so interesting though, Geoff, because the moon card that I did pull, I don't know if you can see it, the light, I'm gonna have to sort my lighting out.
It's a bit shiny.
It's a bit shiny. It's a bit shiny. But this says communication is key. So we already spoke about communication. And I do feel that, when we're talking about business leaders, if you are wanting to be successful in your business, you've got to learn the art of communication. It's how are you going to grow? How are you going to grow? So that is new moon in Gemini, which is something that I'm going to look up and find out about. But I'm also interested, just tell us a bit about your family life there, Geoff, please, because I know that you're a dad, and this event, as you know, is about encouraging the next generation. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I've got 4 sons. Some of them are more interested in the business world than others. They're all doing, very well in their own fields. I've got my youngest one who is just recovering from a rugby injury and working out how he can go back to getting his rugby restarted, because he's decided that he's quite interested to go and play sports out in America as he's growing up. And then I've got obviously another son who's at uni. I have another son who is a chef. And shares a chef's temperament, so that's lovely. And then I have my oldest son who works for the border force, who works for the government. So they're all off doing their own thing. They've made their own ways, which is good. And again, part and parcel of what we try and do is trying to make sure that I get time with all of them, because obviously we flit around a lot for work. So making sure that we still find time to keep that family balance as well. I know family is a really big thing for you, Vanessa, and you invest a lot of time in that. So we also try and make time to do that. And aside from that, we've also got the dog and the cat to look after. So
Melvin!
Well. He's around here
Melvin
somewhere.
The cat. I do apologize. And Louis the dog. That's how Louis and Melvin.
Yeah, so seasoned travellers that they are. So we start taking them everywhere now. So we've got the cat here as well. So the cat's come on this journey. So it's all good. So family life for us is again a very, very busy thing.
Wonderful. But Caroline said here, very special and switched on boys. And I didn't realize it was 4. I thought it was
Yeah.
2. Wow. Because maybe I'm just thinking about your younger sons, but you're now telling us about your older. But to have sons as well. Wow. You know, I've got 2 sons.
Yeah.
You know, they do say the boys are harder to make. So, you know, you feel well there having your sons. But again, just going into the deeper meaning with the card, it said a successful relationship usually comes down to one thing: communication. So whether we're talking about our business, our home life, our work life, we definitely need to know how to communicate.
Definitely. I'd say it's the biggest skill that you can have.
Biggest skill. Talk things through. That's the answer. And then it talks about emails, text messages, or other forms of communication. And this is a great time for anybody who feels that you need to maybe tune into your communication skills. You can write a list of all the people you love the most and maybe consider how you're prioritizing them, it says. But it sounds like you and Caroline have got that formula now where you're going, gosh, we've got so much to do. We've got the businesses, because Caroline's got 2 businesses. You know,
she lost track of the number of businesses.
No, 3 now. 3 now.
3 and 4, yeah.
So it's like the businesses, the people, the animals, everything is about balance, and communication runs through that. So I thought that was so interesting that card pulled up. But you know what, Geoff? It's been so lovely to chat with you today.
Yeah, I'm glad we got the time to do it. It's great. And right before the event as well.
Right before the event. And, you know, in that room, I have so many different, we've got families coming together. So on some of the tables and stalls, you will see families who've brought their offspring with them. I'm so excited to see that. So you can see those families really working together. And then we have those of you who you know, be at the front of the room sharing wisdom and knowledge. And we also have very, very much opportunities for networking. And so there'll be lots of communication happening throughout the day. I have to focus on my sleep. I think that card's come up for me because can you remember I was absolutely exhausted last year, really?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and
but it's
by the end of the day, I was like, so I do want to maybe tonight, you know, think about going to bed a little bit earlier and getting into that routine.
I think that's a good idea. Try and get your sleep. Put some rain sounds on or something to help you go to sleep.
Definitely. But you know what, Geoff? It's been wonderful to speak with you. I have one question to ask you. You don't need to give me the answer here, but I just want to show everybody how much fun we have at this event. Sure. You need to choose your walk-on music.
I'll come up with something for you.
Exactly. And Caroline, if you're still listening, please do let me know, is it the same track or you choosing a different walk-on track for this year? But yes, we bring the energy at this event. So we don't 100%. Just have people walking to the front of the room. They come from the back and it's all energy with the music. So yeah, we're going to have lots of fun.
Geoff, looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's been wonderful to chat with you. Please do bring copies of your book.
I shall.
So any of you in the room, make sure you get a copy of Geoff's book. It's a fantastic read. You know, this is a man who's sharing so much knowledge. This is how we learn, by listening and reading the life and the lessons that others have left us in their book. And yeah, come along. Unfortunately, we can't have the full day tickets now, but if you want to come along for the afternoon, so you can be with us from 12:30 until 5 o'clock, you're still going to get a lot of value from the day, but I've put my catering order in now and I'm not messing the fantastic hotel around. So if you want to be part of the day in the afternoon from 12:30, come along, send me a message and I can set that up for you. You will still get refreshments, but you just won't get the nice lunch that we're going to eat. But yeah, please do let me know if you want to be part of the event for the afternoon and I will make sure that we can have you with us. But in the meantime, Geoff, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time. Safe travels for Saturday. Can't wait to see you in Caroline, you know, in the front of the room. And yeah, we'll have a wonderful day. So thank you for your time.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Vanessa. See you now.
Bye.